Can coaches get NIL money?
Do what?
Can you get NIL money?
Yeah. Heck yeah. I've got some NIL deals. What are you talking about?
Welcome into the first episode of the Preferred Experience for 2023. As always, the Millzer at Master Control. I'm Will Barrett, and we have a wonderful guest today. One you're familiar with, one everybody's familiar with. He's our Motivational Minute guru. He's your Prattville High School athletic director, head coach of football, archery, basketball.
No archery.
No archery anymore?
No archery.
I thought you did archery.
I kind of like help with archery.
Dabbled in archery.
Yeah, till the kids started out shooting me.
He's Donny Burnett. Everybody knows this guy. Everybody loves this guy. Donny, you've been part of the podcast experience since we started in the Motivational Minute world, and it's only been a matter of time before we can get you here behind the mic to find out more about the man himself. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. I've always come to these things prepared, knowing what I was going to do, and I am completely at your mercy today.
Well, that is the way we like it. But of course, it's all friendly fire here today. Nobody's going to come at you hard with anything. We want to know what everybody else knows about you, which is from what I understand, the Millzer of the studio is falling apart.
You can't see this, but we're having technical difficulties at the moment. You
are a 24/7, 365 entire life product of Prattville, yeah?
Pretty much. Let's see. I was born in Mississippi at a very early age, but we moved to Montgomery. My dad worked for the railroad. We moved to Montgomery, and we lived there. I guess till I was about 4, and then we moved to Prattville. So I've been in Prattville for 53 years.
53 years, and you moved here when you're 4. So if you do the math,
makes me 57
years old.
I'm 57.
Aged like a fine wine.
Thank you. Still have the same haircut.
Yeah, I noticed from older pictures. It happened.
It doesn't change. It's just there.
Now, growing up in Prattville, like everybody else that's near your age demographic, there is a certain place that everyone goes to figure out who they are, what they're going to do, and how to get into trouble and how to get out of trouble, and that's at the Prattville YMCA.
Prattville YMCA.
You are infamous at the Prattville YMCA for several reasons.
Yeah,
that we can get into right now if you want to.
Well, let's you know what? Let's jump in there.
Now you've got some record. You hold some records at the Prattville YMCA. Please, share those with us.
I don't know if they're still there or not. But I probably had the record for getting kicked out the most in a 1 week. But
in those days, it didn't take much.
No, it didn't. And I probably had the quickest ejection ever refereeing a Prattville basketball game. I threw a coach out before we even came over and shook hands and got ready to pray. I'd already thrown him out. And so anyway, yeah.
We can get into that too because. You've been on both sides of the ejection seat, right?
I have.
You've ejected and been ejected.
I've been the ejector and the ejectee. So, but never at a Prattville YMCA game did I get ejected.
Now, what in your mind as an official? Put your official hat on. What does it take for someone to cross the line to be ejected by Donny Burnett?
It's usually when they're personal. Mm-hmm. I think that's it for most officials. I think I would be a great official now because, one, I can't hear. So that chatter I wouldn't hear it. And even when I umpired softball when Millzer was playing and, I threatened to throw Millzer out one night. Probably did. Did I throw you out?
Did he get personal with you?
No, you threatened.
I threatened to throw you out.
You never did throw me out. I made fun of his Jeep.
Oh, my. No,
made fun of my Bronco.
It was
the Bronco
back then.
That is personal.
Yeah, you made fun of the Bronco.
Well, of course, we were complaining about Donnie's calls all night, and then there was a foul ball that flew up back behind the backstop, and it landed like a foot from his Bronco. Donnie makes the comment, hey, you almost hit my Bronco, and of course, me being me, I go, well, it wouldn't have hurt it.
Oh boy, now you're crossing.
I said, you're fixing to go. You're fixing to go.
And I can do it right now.
And I can end your night right now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's there's a lot of things some guys, you can't talk like that. You got to go. Now, we didn't have cussing problems at the Y or anything like that from coaches, but when they would think that they were right, like no, and that's the rule says you got to. No, that's not what the rule says, and then they just want to keep arguing, which that's usually what would get me ejected over something. I only got ejected like maybe twice when I was coaching at the high school. I haven't been ejected, knock on wood, at the junior high, but definitely at the high school when I was coaching varsity girls up there, over in Wetumpka one night, and he makes a call, and I said something, and of course he comes over and he pops me with a tech, and my assistant coach Wes Cahoon was supposed to grab me at that point, but he didn't because he's like, well, you're out there, you're gonna get it. And so when he hits me with the tech, and when I looked at him and I said, and that's the first call you've made right tonight. When he hit me with the second one, that's when I knew my night was over. So
baseball coaches get ejected all the time. Softball coaches, basketball coaches ejected. You never see a football coach get ejected.
Not really.
Why is that? Football refs just have thicker skin?
No, I don't know.
Because they run their mouth a lot more than almost any other coach.
Yeah, they really do.
Well, I think it has a lot to do with it's harder for the officials to hear what you're saying. If
No, that's true because you're outside.
you got a little more
all
space
that
in
racket.
between it to you can vent without him actually hearing you vent. So
My favorite move is to blah 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 as I'm walking away from him.
Yeah.
So if you ever see me walking away from the official, you know that I'm probably letting him know that he missed something. But anyway.
But you're good at letting officials know when they miss stuff, not as only a coach, but also as a sideline analyst.
I did, and that got me in trouble one night, didn't it?
We're gonna hit on that. We'll hit on that in a little while.
We got a lot of stuff to hit on.
We're moving chronologically through the life of Donny Burnett here. You also spent time at PHS as a elite basketball and football player.
No
athlete.
Let's just say this. Let's just say that I thought I was a pretty good basketball player, and I went to basketball tryouts in the 7th grade when I was at the junior high. And Coach Martin knew my dad from football, Lee Ernest Martin, and he knew my dad was a basketball player. And he called me Butts. Butts, you coming today? Oh, yes, sir, Coach. I got my stuff. I'll be here.
Butts.
Yeah, butts, because I like to butt heads out on the football field.
Oh, okay.
Not because I had a big butt, but no. He just called me Butts. And so I'm getting ready to go to basketball tryouts. And I had PE like second period. We didn't have an athletic period then. During football, Coach Register would let us go into the field house where we had like one universal machine. I had PE second period. And so me and about 7 or 8 other football players would go in, and we would lift weights on that universal machine while Coach Register was out at PE. And so then we would go on. So Coach Mark's like, you coming? I'm like, yes, sir, I'll be there. And so bell rings after school, and I go booking it down to the gym. And I open up the gym door, and I see like 50 people in there. And they're all taller than me. And I'm going, I ain't never going to make this. And so I looked, I'll never forget. I looked at my Timex watch, and I was like, if I hurry, I can still catch my bus. And turned around and took off and jumped on the bus and went home. And then at school the next day, Coach Martin's like, where were you? I said, Coach, you really don't need me. I said, I saw all these guys in here. And so that I kind of just said no. And anyway, and then I went to basketball tryouts like going into 9th grade. And pretty much did very well in a little scrimmage, and then the next day I was cut. And I'm like, dude, I dropped like 24 points in the scrimmage, and I got cut. Well, anyway, Coach Butler decided I needed to be in the weight room lifting weights and not playing basketball during the off season, and so that pretty much ended my basketball playing career right there.
A business decision made on your behalf.
On my behalf, that's right. So I guess he saw things in me that I didn't really see at the moment, but I'm kind of glad I did hit the weight room.
Yeah,
I was just the opposite. I told Coach Wasden or Coach Page at the time that I was going to play golf, and he said, "Go ahead, bud. That's fine."
That's great.
Well, I did play golf in the 9th grade with Coach Meyer. Coach Meyer was my next door neighbor, and Coach Meyer said, "Hey, we're gonna have a golf team," and I was like, "Okay." It's kind of how I got involved in golf. And so, I'm out there hitting balls in the yard, and that's when he's like, hey, come on, we're going to play golf. We never practiced. We never did anything. We just went and played golf like twice a week in the 9th grade. And it was me, Monty Franklin, Bobby Cavanis, a couple other guys, and we went all over the state of Alabama and played golf. Well, what I learned later on was that Coach Myrick and all of these other golf coaches, like we went and played at Willow Point and Stillwaters. Well, we go up there, and I remember Bobby's mom drove us in her van. So all 6 of us are in Bobby's mom's van. We go up there. We see Coach Myrick, and he's like, all right, hey, you going to play 1, 2, 3, 4. So we go, and we get ready to go play. Well, these guys are gone. They're gone over to Willow Point, and all the coaches are playing golf at Willow Point over there, and all the kids are playing at the other course. And I'm like, at Stillwaters, and I'm like, oh, I see what's going on now. These guys they're just going to play golf, and we're their excuse to get out of school.
Yep.
I learned that once I started coaching golf.
Now, graduated Prattville High School what year?
1984.
84, the championship year.
No.
Year before.
Well, I graduated in May of 84. They won the championship in December of 84.
So you set the tone for that team.
We did. We were the best football team. We were 8-3 that year. We beat Enterprise in week 9, 35-21, and then turned around and had to play Enterprise again in the first round of the playoffs, and they beat us 6-0.
Hard to beat a team twice.
It's hard to beat a team twice, and anyway, I don't know what happened, but we should have won that ball game, but we didn't. So, but we lost 2 games that year. We lost to Ozark, and then we lost to we lost to Dothan, and then we lost to Ozark. Then we beat Enterprise, and then we beat Alex City, and we were 8-2 my senior year, and then got beat in the first round of the playoffs. And Enterprise went on to win the state championship that year.
Now, most people don't even know you for your athletic prowess, even though it's obviously there. You're known for your coaching prowess, and you've been coaching around here for, more than 30 years now, almost, isn't it?
Well, if you want to go back to that first coaching job, I was 16 years old.
Is that when you knew then this is what I want to do?
No, I didn't have a clue. I knew that I was going to coach basketball because Coach Lott at the Prattville YMCA said, hey, I need you to coach a 12-year-old basketball team.
Yes, sir.
And I went, okay. And so I wound up coaching a basketball team. And actually, I'm trying to think. I know Bill Youngblood was on that team, and Shane White, and there was another guy, Blake.
Blake Barrett.
Was it Blake Parrott?
Yeah.
Okay, it was Blake Parrott.
Because Shane and Blake were on that team
That's
that
right.
won
Shane and Blake
that won the improbable the YMCA state championship by beating Birmingham 4th Avenue.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so we go and we won the league that year, and so I was selected to be the all-star or the all-star coach or whatever.
At
anyway,
16.
Yeah, at 16. We go to the Grits Y. Is that how you pronounce it in
Grist.
Selma? Grist.
Yep.
Anyway.
That's the one I grew up in.
Okay, so we go over there, and I've never been there before, and so here I am, and I've got my 12 kids with me, and we go over there, and we walk in, and there are 2 teams playing, and I'm like, oh, we'll wear both of these teams out. So I'm thinking, this is going to be pretty good. And then we see this group of kids get up and leave. I'm like, I don't know who that is, but geez, that kid right there is like 7 foot tall. So we're up like next game. And so our kids, we're down here and we're warming up at this end. And all of a sudden I start hearing Sweet Georgia Brown. And out they come. And they are doing the ball between their legs and they're kicking it with their foot. And when the boy goes up and slaps the backboard with both hands, I knew we were going to be in trouble that
In
day.
the 12U league.
He's 12. And anyway, that got us beat and that knocked us out. But it fueled those kids to move on, and they became a whole lot better.
Yeah, you can't. It's hard to judge a kid by his age now. Some of these 12-year-olds are coming out playing sports, like the one in Texas just recently. What's his name? Jeremiah, whatever it is. The football player out of Texas looks like he's about 30.
Yeah. Yeah.
But legitimately a 12-year-old kid?
Yeah. I mean, we've got some there. Mm-hmm. I mean, I had kids 12 years old, 6'3", 270. And I'm like, there's no way you're 12. And he goes, yes, I am. So, anyway.
When he says that, you're like, okay, yeah.
You're really 12.
I mean, we're living in a day now where the probably the top quarterback in the state of Alabama is an 8th grader.
He's an 8th grader.
As a football coach, what would, I mean, how you've coached junior high football for as long as I can remember.
A long time. Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen a kid at that age be able to perform at that level?
No, I have not.
I mean, it's not conceivable.
No, and I've coached some good kids, and I've seen some kids play.
Talking about Trent Seaborn, the eighth grade quarterback at Thompson High School, that just won a state championship by throwing 5 touchdown passes against Auburn High School in the state championship game. Inconceivable that he's an 8th grader.
And since he can't play junior high ball because he's playing varsity ball, he plays in the band for the junior high games.
Yeah, he's
an honor student.
That's a 4.2 GPA.
Those kids are just coming out of the woodworks, aren't they? I mean, they're everywhere.
I got 12 or 15 of them at the junior high right now.
We're just not talking about it. I mean, I want to share that with everybody.
Okay, if you had a quarterback with that level of talent, how big a fight would it be for JB to come down and say, hey, Donnie, he needs to come up to the varsity?
No, sir. We're playing on Thursday nights. You can have him on Friday, but I got him on. No, I can tell you now that wouldn't happen. So, but yeah, if he wants to come and take one, he's more than welcome. But if he takes one, I get to send one of my choice to go with him. So.
That's the deal?
That's the coach. This is the deal. This is what we're going to do.
It's 1 for 1.
But yeah, I mean, I've coached basketball. Like I said, that first one at 16, and then I didn't coach anymore until I got to college. And my freshman year of college, I helped Bob Gibson coach. He was the head football coach at Greystone Christian Academy down in Mobile. And so I told Bob, man, I'll help you. I'd love to. And so I went help Bob with the junior high, and the varsity coach was like, hey, I need you up here with me. Mm-hmm. And so I was splitting time with Bob and with the varsity, and wound up, coaching varsity football at Greystone there. And they canceled the school closed like the next year.
So no correlation.
No. I mean,
no correlation whatsoever.
Hey, we struggled. We didn't score a whole lot of points that year. I was a defensive coordinator. When I knew then, like, anybody can coach defense, and I guess that's why I coached it. But I'd probably been a whole lot better off being an offensive coordinator. I knew a little bit more about that, and what we were doing was not very good. But I was young and I didn't know anything. I remember the very first game that I coached in at the high school level, I wore cowboy boots because I just thought that was cool. And
it is cool. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but you're not for coaching football. So,
and you kind of pride yourself more as an offensive mind.
Yeah, I've kind of developed into that. Eddie Brown calls me Little Spurrier.
Little Spurrier.
Yeah. So,
well, in the way you coach this 8th grade football team, I could see how he gets that. But what was the point in your life that you knew, like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? I love this, and I'm not going to change. As a coach of a molder of young minds, at what point did you know this is for me?
Man, probably after that summer, the summer that I graduated. I graduated from Mobile College, which is University of Mobile now, but I graduated from Mobile College in 1988. Had a degree in religious education and physical education, HPERD, health, physical education, recreation, and dance.
Dance?
And dance, yeah. You didn't know that about me.
I didn't know you knew that. Okay.
But I played golf while I was in Mobile. I know I'm skipping, but you're asking me these questions.
No, we're good.
Anyway,
don't worry about anything.
All right. So, and I'd coached down there that year, and I thought this is a lot of fun, and I enjoy it. But, man, I can't do math. You probably don't want me to be an English teacher. There's only leaving like history and PE. Well, I knew I was going to do the PE thing back when I don't even know if they still do this anymore. Like, all the kids would go into the auditorium, and the lady would come up and she said, I'm from the nursing department and blah, 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 blah. And then the guy comes in, he has a 3-piece suit on, and he's all dressed up, and I am from the business department, and we do blah, 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 blah. Well, when the guy walks up there in the warm-ups, in the sweatsuit, and he said, I'm from the health and physical education and recreation department, and I play kickball every day. I went, that's what I want to do. I am qualified to play kickball, and I still hold the Tri-County Heavyweight Foursquare title right now. Nobody can beat me in Foursquare.
I've heard that. I've heard you're a Foursquare legend.
It is, and because Caleb plays with us a little bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes there at PE, and
he's got big old hands for Foursquare.
He's big, but yeah.
But do you allow popcorn and dirties?
It depends. It depends on what group of kids you're playing with. We like to play straight up Foursquare where none of that backstop and blackjacks and all that. Mm-hmm. I mean, no spins. We just going to get down and hunker down.
Oh, come on, man. The curveball was my specialty.
Fingers down.
I'm with you. I like the traditional, no holds barred. We just playing Foursquare.
We're playing Foursquare. If you hit it out, it's out. There ain't none of this redo and none of this. If it hits a line, you better hit it because we're not redoing it. And so, but anyway, we have a lot of fun doing that. But it was I guess at that point when I was like, well, if I'm going to go into education and I really want to coach and this would be great and it would probably be something that I want to do. Mm-hmm. So, my dad was going to be a PE teacher, and he fell in love and he got married and had to get a job, and it wasn't going to be in PE. And so I'm like, well, I guess maybe that's what I want to do. And for the longest time, like I said, I graduated. I started 84 and graduated in 88. I went to work at Union Camp, and just to help pay off my student loans, and made a whole bunch of money out there during the shutdown, working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for 63 days. And so you make a bunch of money.
A lot, yeah.
And so I did that, and I was working at Edwin Watts, and I worked at Edwin Watts, and I had a little church in Wetumpka where I was a youth pastor out there, and then I left that church, went to a church in Prattville out at Pleasant Hill, out there on Bridge Creek, out there going out that way.
Incorporating your religious studies degree.
And right into my religious education degree. And I knew that I've either got to, I got to go to seminary or something else has got to happen. And I received a phone call from my old high school football coach, and he said, "Hey, I'm head football coach out here at Togga Academy, and you interested in helping coach?" And I was like, "Well, let me talk to Lee and let me see what she says." I talked to Lee, and she had finished up with nursing school, and so we were kind of at that point in our life where kids weren't born yet, and we knew if I was going to coach, I was going to have to go back to school because I did everything that I had to do in Mobile. Once I ran out of golf credit or eligibility, and I couldn't play golf anymore. I had enough credits to graduate, and I'm like, it's time to get out of here. Mm-hmm. So I got my degree and left, and I was working at Ye Olde Golf Shop in Prattville. I don't know if you still remember when Ye Olde Golf Shop was there, and Carl Peters was, so I worked with Carl, and I was going to school at AUM and at Alabama State because I got the alternative certificate, and I only had to take 2 classes to get my certification because I had taken all the other classes. Anyway, so I took those classes, and then when Coach Glasscock called, and I went to the academy, and that was in 94. And I've been coaching something year-round since 1994.
Were you at Autauga for 1 year?
No, I was at Autauga from 94 to 2002.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Did you coach baseball?
I coached baseball. I coached softball. I coached golf. I coached tennis. I coached track. I coached football, girls basketball, junior high girls basketball.
You would have coached against me then.
Mm-hmm, probably.
I played for the John Tyler Morgan Academy Fighting Senators from 94 to 97 on baseball. Mm-hmm. And we played Autauga a few times.
Was Coach Jones your baseball coach?
Coach Jones was my coach, and I love that man.
I did too.
That is a great man. And he coached. He was coaching up until just recently. Mm-hmm. He was coaching softball at Judson.
Yep.
But you can't stop that man.
Nope.
I thought he was 60 or 70 years old when he was coaching us.
He was 85. But but yeah, Coach Jones, that's Sheridan Cahoon's dad. So but anyway,
wonderful man.
Yes. And Coach Jones was my very first. I was coaching junior high. I was coaching I guess they call it junior high or JV or whatever it was out there at the academy. I was the head coach, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. And the very first game we played is against Morgan Academy. Mm-hmm. And so the kids that I won the state championship with in 1999, that was my very first team, and they were 7th graders. And so here comes Morgan Academy, and they pull up in these vans, and there's like 16, 18 kids get out. And I'm thinking, oh, yeah, we finna we finna do a number on them. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I lost my very first game that I coached in as a football coach, and I think we lost the next 6. And we finally won our last game, and no, we didn't. We were undefeated because when I spoke at graduation when they were seniors, I remember I said, we were out on the football field, and I was like, and these seniors never won a game as 7th graders, and when they got to be seniors, they never lost a game because we wound up going 13-0 and won state championship that year. So,
and that's one of those things that you remember forever. Those state championships. I think might even remember it more as a coach than you do a player.
Mm-hmm. I remember the year before. I was the offensive coordinator. Kyle Glover was the head coach. And we played Shelby Academy. Mm-hmm. We were 11-2 that year. We lost 2 games, both of them to Shelby Academy. In the championship game, defensively, we held them to 135, 140 yards of total offense. We had close to 400 or 500, but we turned the ball over 5 times in the red zone. Could not score. And
that still gets you beat.
And got beat 21-19. We still had a chance to win it. And Blake Carter, we tried to kick up really long out of his range, never made one from this distance field goal to thinking we could tie the game up or win the game. And anyway, it didn't work. And they got it on about the 2. And so they ran a play, and clock ran out, and that was it. And then
heartbreak, which
was really cool because the next year those kids were juniors, and the next year they were seniors. We go to Chambers Academy. Mm-hmm. And we're 12-0, and Chambers is 12-0, but because they had played like Springwood or somebody, they got extra 5 points, and so they were the home team. And we went up 14-0. Went up 14-0 in that game. They tied it up, and then we went up 28-14, and then they tied it up again with 45 seconds left to go. They went for 2. They were going for the outright win, which I'm glad they went for 2 because I had watched every football game that Jason, I can't think what Jason's last name is now, but he was the head coach anyway, Jason. Every game they'd ever played in, like from 10th, 11th, and 12th, like we had years worth of film. And I was watching them with James Carter. Mm-hmm. And James Carter, when we I learned how to watch film with these old guys. James Carter, Eddie Gibbs. This is what you look for when you're watching a film. You don't look at this and that. You look at what that guard does, and you look at what he does, and blah blah blah. Watch his hand. If he puts his hand up here, if he puts his hand back here, he's doing something different. And so we did that. Well, we knew anytime they needed something, a yard, 2 yards, or whatever. They got in the wishbone. They were in the wishbone, and they ran the toss to their sideline. That was their bread and butter.
Yeah,
we sold out to the toss to their side. Now, had the quarterback faked that toss, he could have bootlegged out and turned cartwheels into the end zone because all 11 of my people, when the ball was snapped, went to the left side. I mean, we were hauling butt.
They were scouted well.
Yes, and we knocked him out of bounds on about the 11. So they're going for 2 balls on the 3. We hit him before he ever even got turned up. And so they kicked off onside kick, and Todd Threadgill recovers it, lays on it. We take a snap, hit a knee, ball game's over, and we win 28-27. That was my first year as the head coach at Otaga Academy, mm-hmm. and we went 13-0.
And you coached there through 2002, you said?
Yes, through 2002.
And then you make the move to the high school.
And won two state titles in basketball out there.
Wow.
JV basketball. I was varsity girls basketball out there. Our best year out there, we were 25-5, And we lost 5 games that year. We lost 3 games to Escambia Academy, who was the 1A state champ. Mm-hmm. We lost 1 game to Morgan Academy, the 2A state champ, and 1 game to Faith Academy, the 3A state champ.
Wow.
So
pretty good pedigree there.
We were the 4th best team in the AISA that year. Period.
I haven't figured out what's your strength as far as coaching. What your strength is? Is your strength coaching males or is your strength coaching females? Because you've had a lot of success on both in both the male and the female sports. I think one of the things that people really sleep on is your junior high girls basketball coaching pedigree. How many games have you lost in the last 10 years? Like 7, 8?
Hold on.
You could tell.
Hold on, I'll tell you, because I knew you were going to ask me some of these questions. And so
am I that predictable?
And so I had to go figure it out. So here you go. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Wait a minute. Junior high girls basketball. All right. Let's see. Junior high girls at Prattville right now, we're 110 and 28.
110 and 28.
110 and 28, yeah. And if you take all of my 3 years of junior high girls basketball at the academy, and so I'm 157 and 31 coaching junior high girls basketball.
Wow.
And then
157.
157 and 31. And then if you throw in my varsity years at Taga Academy, 19 and 6, 22 and 4, and 25 and 5. That's 66 and 15. And then at 2 years of the head coach at Prattville High School, we were 16 and 14 one year and 14 and 14, which makes like all total everything 253 and 74. Well, as a girls basketball coach.
Now, I know that you just don't have superior talent every time you step out on the coaching room. Every time you step out on the floor, you don't have the best. Your girls aren't always better than the other girls. So there's got to be some kind of secret in the coaching, some kind of secret that you got baked in the cake that nobody else knows. And I don't know if you want to tell us or not, but there's got to be something that separates you.
There's no secret to it. We've done the same thing since we started. Since I started coaching at the junior high, and I wasn't going to coach. I didn't want to coach then. I was done with basketball when I left Taga Academy, as far as junior high girls goes. Because there's one thing about junior high girls. They're going to do exactly what you tell them to do. If I said throw the ball to Sally, if all 5 defenders are standing around Sally, we're still going to try to throw the ball to Sally. And I'm like, yeah, you got to get girls and you got to make them think. And so we try to teach concepts more than we teach stuff. Like we don't have set plays. We just don't do that. It's if somebody's here, we got to be here. We got to be here. Somebody's there. If the ball moves, then you have to go, and then blah blah blah. But what has caused us to win is we press, and
the whole time.
No, not the whole time. Just we stop pressing when we get up by 20. Because I feel, Bill Brown was my mentor there when I was at Taga Academy, and Bill Brown said first team to 30 is going to win in girls basketball. So
typically, yeah.
So we, if we can get to 30, I feel like we're going to win. So we're going to press you from the start, and it's pretty simple press. It's just a little 3-1-1 press, but the thing it is you got to teach those girls where they're supposed to be, and you can't take a ball away from a good basketball player. You gotta put pressure on her and cause her to pass it, and then that's when we want to take the ball away. It's from the one that can't handle it. Because most of the teams we play usually had one ball handler, they didn't have 2. And we've always been blessed. There were 2 years at the junior high that our point guard Euleria Lewis, who is just wearing it out at the high school this year as a senior.
Oh yeah. When
Euleria was a 7th grader, she tore her ACL up like first week of practice. So, and we had built the whole plan around Euleria that year. She tears her knee up, and I said, Grace, I'm talking about Grace Downey. I said, Grace, you're the point guard. Grace is like, I'm not a point guard. I said, I know, but you're fixing to learn to become one.
You are now.
And I told her mom this the other day, and her sister played for me. Of course, all those Downey girls played for me at some point. I said, I probably rode Grace harder in 7th grade and 8th grade than any kid that I've ever just constantly stayed on them. And I told myself that's why Grace is the basketball player she is today, because I stayed on her butt from day one until the day that we no longer had any more basketball games. And I said, and I made Grace a basketball player. And it's just because I yelled and screamed at her and told her what she did wrong. And so,
And some can take that screaming.
They can.
Some can't take it.
I've had girls run off the court crying because I yelled at them. And I'm like, if y'all can't take me yelling at you, you're not going to be able to stay out here.
Right.
And then, of course, what have we've had in 10 years at Prattville Junior High School, we have had 4 one-loss seasons. And, once we started putting banners up in the gym, if you don't hang a banner, you feel like you haven't had a good year.
Right.
That you've let everybody down. And so
and banners are for undefeated seasons.
And banners are only for undefeated seasons. And so the girls, I remember the first year that we coached it, me and Wes Cahoon, nobody wanted to coach junior high girls. The lady that had coached them the year before wasn't going to coach anymore. Mm-hmm. I couldn't find a coach. Mr. Agee's like, if you can't find a coach, you're going to have to coach them. You're the athletic coordinator at the time. So I was like, I can't find nobody. I was like, all right, come on, Wes, me and you're going to coach girls basketball. We lost our first game of the year, and then we won our next 14. So we finished that year 14-1. We start year 2, we win our first 13 games of the year. So we're on a 27-game winning streak.
Wow.
And then we lose our last 2. So we're 27-3 in the first 2 years. And then the next year we had another one-loss season. And then we had a bad year. We were 10-4 the next year.
Yeah.
And
for you, that's just terrible.
Yeah. And then you sprinkle in those a couple 1-losses and 1-2-loss season and all that. And so anyway, it's been fun. I coach girls the same way I coach boys. I don't really coach them any different. I mean, we don't scream and yell, and you can't pat anybody on the butt when you're a girls basketball coach.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
But I did do that one time at Otago Academy. And Emily Cloutier, I think she has it on video. Her daughter Erin was a basketball player for me, and she's quite a player. And anyway, it was a close ball game. I need you to do this something, and you got it. Let's go. When she got up, I popped her on the butt like that. And she looked at me, with them eyes, and I looked at her, and I looked at her mom, and her mom is rolling. She's laughing at us. And anyway, she goes.
You like to see the mom laughing?
Yes, she goes out. She goes out there, hits the shot, bam, everything's great. So
yeah.
So yeah,
as long as mom's laughing, we're good.
Mom was laughing, and it was just one of those spur of the moment. And I was like, I really didn't hit her on the butt. I kind of got her like upper back, and
kind of on the hip.
Yeah, high on the hip, very high.
Yeah. So. Basketball is a sport that is going to stand the test of time. Obviously, nobody's complaining about how basketball is played now. The other sport you coach that you're known for, football. Mm-hmm. A lot of people think football is in trouble. The current state of football. Where do you see the current state of football? Because I mean, the way you coached it 15 years ago, you can't coach it that way.
You don't coach that way. Let me tell you, I would love to have played for me. When you can just go get water whenever you want it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can put your hands out and do this, and anyway, yeah. These kids don't realize how lucky they have it as far as that part goes. But yeah, the game has changed, and just one way that I know is they're slowly trying to phase kicking out of junior high football. There were several times this year where we played somebody and they were like, nah, we don't kick. We're going to put the ball on 30 or we're going to put the ball on 25. And if you want to punt, you get the 35-yard or the 30-yard punt. Can't go inside the 20. And I'm like, okay, I need to know, are we going to kick or are we not? Because
you got to kick.
We practice all this stuff.
Right.
And the first game we played, and I can't remember who we played this year, but we punted. We kicked off, we played real football. 7th grade, they do nothing but kickoff. Mm-hmm. And I'm afraid that's going to go away. So we punted. The next week we go and the guy's like, hey, we not punting. And I'm like, dude, I just spent like almost an hour working on punt return this week during my practice times. And now you're telling me we're not going to punt. He's like, no. So the next week, hey, are we kicking? I call a guy, are we kicking? No, we're not kicking. So I go for 2 weeks now, and we don't punt. So we didn't even practice it the next week. And then the next week, the guy wants to punt. So I'm like, okay, we got to get our punting back in. Anyway, so we had our little football conference meeting the other day. I've got another one Sunday that we're going to solidify all the schedules and everything. And I said, we're going to make a rule. Either everybody's going to kick or nobody's going to kick.
Yeah.
I said, it's not fair. It's not fair for a 2-hour practice where I spend 20 minutes on punt and 20 minutes on punt return, and you're spending those 40 minutes on offense or 40 minutes on defense.
And they can make you not kick, but you can't make them kick.
That's correct. Yeah, they can say, we're not punting.
So you can't punt either.
Yeah, and then the High School Athletic Association gave us, or the NFHS, they said, okay, you can play real football, or you can do a modified where you can still punt, and when they catch it, we're going to mark it off 30 yards and blah, 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 but nobody's going to run down the field. Or you can just take 30 yards, you tell the guy you want to kick it, and he'll walk it off 30 yards and put it down.
Are they just trying to eliminate like the violent impact?
I think it's impact and injuries. It's nobody got a concussion when we played. You just got your bell rung.
Right.
And now, concussion protocol, I mean, it's no joke. And, we take that stuff serious up there. I remember one year we had 9 kids that we had in concussion protocol. And really only 1 or 2 actually had a concussion, never came back. Perez Bowman, had a concussion, got knocked out over at Stanhope on a kickoff. And the youth minister, Spencer, down at the Methodist Church, Spencer got a concussion. He was a quarterback. And I don't know if he thought he was Superman or something, like he was fixing to dive over a pile and got hit, and he spun around in a circle, and like he didn't know who he was for like 10 minutes. So, but yeah, it's you're trying to make the game safe. We've changed practices up, and how much contact you can have, how much what you don't,
how much heat exposure you can have.
Man, heat, that's another thing, and knock on wood, my coaches, they do a great job of making sure that everybody's getting water. And, we do our summer stuff. Every 15 minutes, you're going to get water, whether you need it or not.
Yeah.
And so we stagger it with, you got 80 7th graders over here. You got 80 8th graders over here. You got 6 girls out there with water bottles and the cow, the big drinking machine with all the things on it. Mm-hmm. And we're constantly, we'll go through a 250-pound cooler of ice that from our ice machine. We'll empty that sucker every day, Darren.
I've witnessed it. And you got to have a strong team just for that, for the water distribution.
Yeah,
and you do. So, you keep them lined up.
So those girls do a good job of that. And this year, Coach Slay said, "Look, we're going to do this different. Instead of all the boys coming here, we're going to take water bottles. We're going to fill them up, and we're going to put girls in each group. So you're talking really 6 groups or 6 groups with 7th grade and 6 groups with 8th grade. Mm-hmm. So you gotta have 12 girls there or 10 girls there just to stand where they can do that, and they're sending them out there with these holders with 8 water bottles, and they empty one, they go fill it up while they leave the other one there, and these girls are constantly back and forth filling up water all day long. And so that's we're getting water. We're covering heat, water, concussions.
Covering heat, covering water, covering concussions, trying to lessen the violent nature of football as much as possible. But then you have something like what happened with DeMar Hamlin the other night, which was not violent at all.
No, that
and almost and did kill him for 9 minutes.
For 9 minutes, yeah. We were it's that you brought this up. We were, I'd loaned somebody a ladder, and so Lee and I were in the truck. We were going over to pick up the ladder because Mike Harrell's at my house doing all knows what kind of work to my house right now. And
Mike,
Mike, security Mike Harrell,
security Mike,
fastest truck driver there ever was to take us to a ball game somewhere.
Got that right. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, Mike's doing some work for me. But anyway, we were going to get the ladder, and my old buddy Wes Cahoon sends me a text and says something like, he hit 17 greens in regulation and only shot 73. And I'm like, yeah. And then my reply was, I'm driving, so I hand Lee the phone, and I'm like, hey, ask Wes if he needs to buy a putter. And so anyway, we got to going, and then he says, did you see what happened on Monday Night Football? And I'm like, tell Wes I'm driving. No, I didn't. So I just hit the button and called him. And he starts describing what has happened. And my wife says, I'll bet you he got hit in the chest. And she said, I don't know what it's called, but right before your heart charges and gets ready to take that that next impulse, it hit it and it knocked his heart out. And it knocked his heart out of rhythm or whatever.
That's called like comio cordis or something like that.
Exactly. And so sure enough, once we got to where we were going, we get out and we're scrolling on the phone and we're trying to see it. We go in, turn on the game at our friend's house, and we were watching it. And she was like, I've heard of that happen in baseball, especially with like little kids. It happens in baseball, soccer, and karate. And I got to thinking, well, you know what? I guess I could see where it could happen in karate when you're popping and chopping and
put that one shot.
You
right
get
to
that
the chest.
one shot right there.
Just talking about it, I'm dead serious. This just popped in my head, and I remember this vividly as a kid. And this is probably what happened. Back, I was a bat boy for my dad and them softball team. Alfred Wadsworth and all of them played together and everything. Do you remember Aaron Joyner?
Yeah.
Ricky Joyner's
Yeah.
dad.
Called him many a games with Aaron.
Well, he got hit with a donut one night that flew off
off the end of a bat.
A warm up the bat, and it came off the bat and hit him in the chest, and he had a heart attack.
Yep.
On the field. He was a field umpire, and somebody was on deck circle warming up with the donut on the bat, and it flew, and it wasn't it just was worn out, so it flew off the end, hit him in the chest. So thinking about that now, that is probably what happened.
That is probably what happened.
Yeah, because he had a heart attack and they had to revive him on the field.
That's wild.
Yeah,
we were Coach Hawkins and I were.
You have to outlaw donuts now.
Yeah. Well, no, you got to have this big sleeve now, this long. You can't have the little.
You
round
can't have the
like
little
we used to have.
donuts.
Yeah, it's a big long sleeve and it's tapered and it's only going down.
Or they don't allow the what little David Golson used to have was a tie rod. He
stand out there and swinging a sledgehammer or something. But we were talking about that today, and I said you can't. I said I bet you can't name 5. I bet you can't name 3 people that this has happened to in football. This is the only one that I know of, but it's also like how many other people just died that we just said they died and something like that could have happened.
They had a heart attack.
Yeah, and so it makes you think. And I'm gonna tell you,
and like I said, I'm a kid. I was a kid at the time. I have no idea. Nobody told me what the medical diagnosis is, but just in my memory. And just putting 2 to 2, sitting right here, putting 2 to 2 together, I fully believe that's what happened because it was so weird that he had a heart attack because something hit him.
Yeah, and
it's got to be, and just I'm no medical doctor, but I mean it sounds logical that that's what happened because it hit him in the chest.
Yeah, and if you look at the hit, and you think, well, it's not, he really didn't hit him that hard, but I mean those are big guys out there,
right?
And they're moving really fast, and watching it on television, it's like watching a NASCAR race. You watch a NASCAR race on television; those cars, they don't look like they're moving,
right?
But if you watch one in real life, it's and 42 cars have gone by you in 0.4 seconds or whatever.
Like you go back to the Dale Earnhardt crash that killed him. It did not look like a violent crash, but he's hitting that wall at 200 miles an hour.
And exactly, and then so. He gets hit an inch higher, an inch lower. And
game goes on.
And that guy, he just gets up from that tackle.
Yeah.
And they're playing the next down. But it just shows you, man, it's so, just like that. You don't ever know. And look, and I'm gonna say this too. I think hats off to the NFL.
Oh yeah,
for saying, "Hey, we're done. We're not playing." And I know people say, "Well, it's just a game." Well, yeah, football is just a game, and we're talking about a man's life. But on the other hand, that was his life. That's his life. That's how he supports his family.
Yeah,
that's how he takes care of his kids. And yes, he's out there playing, and he knows that. Yeah, you could get hurt, but you don't ever think that's what's going to be the thing that hurts you, man. Mine is always, I'm going to tear up my knee, I'm going to blow up my shoulder, or something's going to happen, and then I'm not going to be able to play anymore. You don't think it's because I made a tackle, not even a violent tackle.
Right. You have heard what his first words were.
Yeah, that he asked if
he wrote on a piece of paper.
Did we win?
Did we win?
Yeah.
So, and then I saw something today that I didn't even know happened. I don't know if y'all know about this. Peyton Hillis, I believe is his name. Did you see that?
He almost drowned. Well, he almost drowned.
No, well,
he drowned.
He drowned.
But they brought him back.
He was rescuing his kids from a riptide.
Down in Pensacola. I saw that today, and I'm like, what is going on?
I know.
So,
and I can't. His name escapes me. The rally driver.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Blank or Ken Block.
Ken Block.
Yeah.
Block.
Yeah. And I'm like, what is up with all these athletes? And it just, I mean, it scares you.
It happens in threes. I mean,
759 drop dead athletes this year on either on or near a competition. I mean, it's
and let me tell you, as the athletic director at Prattville Junior High School, as the head football coach, as the basketball coach, as the girls golf coach, as whatever it is, it scares me to death that we got that out there and something like that can happen. But thank goodness the AHSAA years ago said everybody needs an emergency action plan. The incident that happened with the kid that got electrocuted up in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Had they not had that emergency action plan and practice it, and we practice it too. If you don't practice it, when you're never prepared for those kind of things when they happen. But if you do it enough, everybody knows what the role is, and we got it's clearly out who's supposed to go out there to the road to wave the ambulance this way. Who's supposed to make sure that the cars, if any cars are parked there, those cars are moved so the ambulance can drive up onto the field if it has to.
Well, we saw it firsthand at the Phoenix City game where they had to use the ambulance for a fan. Mm-hmm. So they stopped the game.
Yep.
Because there wasn't an ambulance there.
If it's not there,
we're not playing until the ambulance gets back.
That's right.
And we thank goodness some of our senators and representatives have I've asked for money for AEDs to cover all of our sports, and we've got one in the field house. We've got one in now mounted in the gym. We've got other ones in school. But if we're playing volleyball and say a fan has a heart attack, somebody's got to run down there to the office and get the AED and come back. Where now it's mounted on the wall right over there.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with that kind of stuff, seconds matter.
Yeah. DeMar Hamlin is dead today without that AED.
Exactly.
That was there in the ambulance.
Right there. Let's get it going. And I'm positive that they had them on the sidelines. That both teams. I mean, they're doctors, they're trainers, they're everybody when you're talking about professional sports.
Oh, yeah.
And so you know that they were there, but they didn't know what happened. They didn't know what happened. And so, oh man, let me tell you, it scares me to death. And I'm gonna tell you something else that scares me more now is the fentanyl.
Yes. Yes.
Deadly.
But how does it kill you? You touch it.
You touch it. Yeah. Like you bend over and pick a quarter up off the ground. It's got fentanyl, and you better hope you have your Narcan.
Yeah. Or you're gone.
Yeah. You better have it. And, so, I mean, I carry my first aid bag with me. It's in the truck right now. And, yes, sir, you can get Narcan and carry it with you. And, when my father was, before my father passed away and he was on those opioids or whatever that stuff was that he was having to take, we're going to make sure that all of y'all have this in case your father, you have to use it on your father. And so yeah, so it's a scary thing, but football and sports, and I mean, it's changing, and people are getting bigger and stronger, and equipment, the football helmets now are as safe as they've ever been, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But wow, that's like, Coach Wallace can't use helmets that we wear at the junior high. We wear helmets that are rated like 7 through 9. And then the varsity helmets are like 10 through 12. And then you have college rated helmets. And you have professional rated helmets and stuff like that. And so it's there. Shoulder pads, same way.
So it's not like the good old days when you get the hand-me-down Rydell to play with.
Yeah, those days are long and gone. Yeah, and let me tell you.
The 14-year-old Rydell helmet that I played the Bears with?
No, sir. Helmets now have a shelf life. They have a shelf life of 10 years. If you buy a helmet in 2002 and 2012, that helmet's gone. Mm-hmm. It has to be recertified at least every 2 years. We recertify our helmets every year. Guy comes down, the guy from Rydell comes down, he picks them up, he puts them in the bag, they take them back, they x-ray the helmets, they do all this test to them, make sure they're still good. We get 3 or 4 helmets that'll have a crack in it, and you won't even know it's there. You can't see it. They pick it up, that helmet gets thrown out, and so as an AD and as football coach now, well, I've got to make sure that I have enough helmets, and so we usually buy. They cut me a deal that Philip Doyle did several years ago when they were starting that reconditioning business, and they were selling the Rydell helmets, and it was buy 12 get 2 free.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if anybody else gets that deal, but I'm still getting that same deal. So we're buying 28 helmets because we know at some point, these helmets, we got to get rid of them. I got bags of helmets. If anybody wants to buy an old helmet for a lamp or something like that,
they make great lamps.
Shoot me an email.
I got just sitting right out there in the lobby. I got a one we use for a set piece.
That's right.
I mean, looks brand new.
Yeah,
but there's a crack in it somewhere that they found a crack.
Well, and a lot of mine, because when you're dealing with the kids that we deal with, I may have to have 50 small helmets this year because I got a little bunch of peanut-headed looking 7th graders, and then in my 8th grade group, I got 4 kids that are wearing extra large. I had a kid that wore a XX helmet this year.
That's a big head.
Yes, sir. It was a big, and only 2 other people in the history of Prattville have worn it.
Okay.
And that's Big Kenny and Biddle. Yep.
Biddle
and so,
okay, I'm going back a little further. The biggest head of all time, Shay Allen.
Well, yeah. Well, that helmet would have been thrown out, but yeah, this was the helmet that Biddle wore like 4 years ago, and Coach Wallace and they, his made it through, and not everybody wears it, and so I'm like, Coach, this kid, we don't have a helmet that'll go on his head. And he's like, well, I'll send this one down. And if that don't work, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
And so he Big Cam put that thing on.
Squeeze it on.
Yep. So.
But these days, to outfit a varsity high school football, even a junior high football player,
yep,
it's well over north of $500.
Well, let's see. Our helmets are about $165 a piece. So you get a $165 helmet. You're spending $47 something to have it reconditioned and repainted every other year or every year. So that's you're talking $200 helmet. Unless if it's a brand new helmet, then you're only talking $150, $160. Shoulder pads are $115, $130, depending on how big they are and what size you get, because the 3 of us would each wear a different size shoulder pad, and then depending on where you play, you got this and that. So you're looking at close to $400 for helmets and shoulder pads, and then you throw in thigh pads, knee pads, girdle, and all that.
Cleats.
You can't find a girdle for less than $50. Go out and try to buy one.
Yeah.
And then the pads, I think we can get those for like $750 for thigh pads and $750 for knee pads. So $15, Yeah, and then you throw in a pair of cleats and a mouthpiece, and good gracious, mouthpieces are what's crazy.
You hadn't even put a jersey on him yet.
No, and everybody, they got these little special mouthpieces now, the little pacifier mouthpieces and the double mouth. We just had the old one, stick it in the water, stick it in,
exactly,
and bite it down on it. And mouthpieces probably have more to do with concussions than helmets or anything else. And we learned this thanks to Miss Sherry several years ago. That year that we had 9 kids, and we were doing research, and we were talking to people at West Virginia and all this stuff. And one of the doctors or one of the trainers or whatever said, go check the mouthpieces of these kids that are on concussion. And, the kids that chew them all up, almost every one of those mouthpieces, they had just like chewed them up. And so we were like, okay, mouthpiece is messed up, get it off, you got to get a new one. And so we go through mouthpiece checks now and just tell them, kids, look, that's a shock absorber in your mouth.
Yeah.
You got to have it. So,
big time.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's $400 or $500 a kid, and you got 160 kids out there, and
you're running up a tab.
People get mad because we had to go up $1 on our admission to get in. So, but yeah, I mean, just a little Prattville Junior High football program. We may spend, $40,000 a year just to operate our little program.
Just to outfit.
Yeah, just to get them ready.
That is incredible, but that's what it takes.
Yep,
that's what it takes.
Yeah, then you throw in fuel for the buses, and
the buses, the yellow hounds get about what, 6 miles a gallon?
Well, it's $1.85 a mile is what we pay, and we're playing Auburn, Opelika, Phoenix City, Smith Station, Valley. This year we're adding Dothan.
Circle City is about
Dothan,
100 miles.
In Alex City.
Wow.
So, we're either going to make a trip to Dothan this year, or Dothan's going to make a trip to Prattville, and we'll make it next year. So, but we're trying to play the same people that these kids are going to be playing through throughout the varsity.
I always enjoy the Friday nights with you, either in the booth or down on the sideline, talking about these kids, because you coached them when they were 7th grade, 8th grade, and now they're grown playing varsity ball, and all these stories about them from the day. You pull up videos of them when lifting weights, and the first time they squatted 300 pounds in your weight room, is like these are like your kids.
Well, hey, you're talking about Jordan Bates, aren't you?
Yeah,
Big Jordan Bates squatting 340 or whatever with his dang work boots.
Yeah,
on.
with his work boots on.
With his work boots on, and I remember the Ross kid from Phoenix City in 8th grade, playing a 7-on-7 at Auburn, and we're playing them in the championship game, and he makes a catch going across the field. He reaches back with his left hand, he catches the ball by the nose of the football, sticks both feet on the sideline, catches the ball, pulls it in, flips it to Wes Cahoon, and goes, "How'd you like that?" And I was like, "Oh my God, that's the greatest catch I've ever seen." Until I coached Cam Shanks.
Right. So until you coach Cam Shanks, till you coach KJ Blue.
Until I coached KJ Blue. And so, but yeah, I'm so excited for those kids and so excited for Tice. Tice was a little bitty kid when he played football for us.
Tice Cottrey, small kid, just like his brother Miles.
Just like Miles, yeah.
A small kid at the junior high level, and then they just go.
They blossom.
They blow up.
I always tell people the biggest gain that you're going to see in your child is from from his 9th grade football year until his end of his 10th grade football year, because the 9th graders are still working out by themselves. They're still just there. But when you take those kids after that 9th grade football season and they become the quote sophomores and they're working out with those juniors and seniors, they blow up then, and that's when you see it.
Yep.
And you don't even recognize them the next time you see them.
And Tice blew up so fast. Tice Cottrey blew up so fast. He was a starter his sophomore year. By the middle of the sophomore year, he was in rotation.
Yep.
And then a staple junior senior.
And then bam. So
now I prefer to walk on fullback at Troy.
Can you imagine him at fullback?
I can't. I mean, I want him at fullback at Auburn.
Yeah.
I mean, that kid is going to be a soul crusher at fullback.
And he is. And he's one of those that he's going to give you 101%.
That's impossible, by the way.
Every play.
He'll find a way.
He'll find a way to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I've coached some good ones along the way. I've been around some good ones, and man, it's fun to go. I remember when he couldn't do nothing, and we had who was it? We talked to him at championship game one year. After the game, we were talking about him, and it was one of the linebackers, and I was like, I remember your hang clean when you're at the junior high was 135. I said, what are you hang cleaning now? 315.
Of course you are. Yeah.
And that guy, yeah, I can see that because you're picking up running backs and just dropping them on the ground. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, and you get this. I mean, as hanging out with us on Friday nights in the booth or down on the sideline, you have what you've always termed as too much Prattville in you.
Yeah,
because you love these kids so hard.
I do, and Millzer will tell you we see stuff through cardinal colored glasses.
Well, and we should.
That's right, because we're the Prattville announcers. And by the way, I like being in the booth more than I like being on the field.
Well, we have been. I like you in the booth too. By the way, don't get it twisted on that. It's nice having you up there because you have insight on just about everybody out there. You got
a lot of them.
You got the drop on most of them.
I like you up in the booth because I don't have to fight that stupid wireless microphone.
Wireless microphone and that Millzer, I can't hear you. Sometimes I can always hear you, but Will would say, "Hey, tell Millzer you can't hear him." Chip would text me and he'd go, "Hey, tell Millzer you can't hear him."
Because he hates that.
Because he hates that when you go, "Hey man, can you turn me up just a little bit?"
We hadn't had a Millzer meltdown yet. Hey, Donnie, will you please say on the air that you can't hear him? Because that really drives him out.
Hey, I'm mellow into my.
That brings out the Millzer demons.
The Millzer that everybody loves. So.
But I go back to a time when
don't do it, man.
Regularly,
you're going to do it.
Regularly on the sideline. Sideline every week. Donny Burnett, the Steak and Shake sideline reporter.
Oh, boy.
Where too much Prattville oozed out of Donnie one night. And justifiably so.
It's just like Steak and Shake, he's no longer there.
He's no longer there.
The 2010 quarterfinal playoff game against the Wetumpka Indians at Wetumpka. You remember this.
I'll never forget it.
I won't either because we all had to relive it about 5 times.
Yes, we did. And all those meetings that we had to go to.
There
by the way, I know one person that still has not made his meeting, has he?
We're beyond the statute of limitations to talk about now. This 2023, I think the statute is 10 years.
13 years? Okay.
Yeah, so we're pretty clear on this.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, it was on a kickoff.
No, it was on a punt.
Well,
it was on a punt. Yeah.
Okay.
Now before we
You're right.
Before we go too much further, I thought this was a Thompson game because it was actually one.
No.
It wasn't a playoff game.
It was too.
No, and I'm gonna tell you why.
It was the week before.
Time out. I'm gonna tell you why it wasn't a playoff game. Because it was on TV where the head of officials saw it on TV on our
replay.
On the replay.
Yeah,
he's laying in bed on a Sunday morning and it pops up on TV and he hears the phrase. He picks up the phone and calls Savarese and calls every.
Yeah, it was a regular. It was a regular.
It was Thompson. It was at Thompson. I remember it vividly. Trust me, because I had to relive that. I had to go through.
We lost the game.
Yeah,
because
we won that game.
We won the Wetumpka.
I swear to you,
we lost Wetumpka twice. That year.
We lost to Wetumpka, but I swear to you,
all right. Well,
the incident happened at Thompson.
No. It happened at Wetumpka.
Millzer, I'm telling you remember.
But it wasn't. If it wasn't a playoff game.
It wasn't the playoff.
It put
game.
us out of the playoffs. We got beat in the quarterfinals that night by Washington and Wetumpka. Golden and
hold
Wetumpka.
on.
But I'm telling you, it can't be a playoff game because it was on TV.
It was,
and that's how they called it.
Then it was the first time.
It may have been the first.
It was the first time we played them, and then
it may have been the week of Thompson that I was doing all that. I had to go. That I had to go pull up all the tape, and as I'm driving my delivery van going down the road. Ron Ingram chewing me out on the phone as I'm trying to do my job, and then I'm having to go home and then pull up video, and so I know for a fact it wasn't a playoff game.
And here because I did not get to broadcast the Thompson game. Remember,
that's what it was.
You were suspended.
I was suspended.
You were suspended.
But I got to come on and make my apology. I made my apology, and then I served my 1-game suspension. And that was it.
Now, I know everybody listening to this is going, what the heck
did he say? And I will preface this by every kid at Prattville Junior High, every kid that I've coached at Otago Academy, every boy, every girl, at some point I have called them what I called the official on the air. And it's a term of endearment from me. And I say it jokingly but you know, I'll take you back through the whole play. It was a punt. We received the punt. Mm-hmm. We're going up the field to the Prattville sideline. We're running towards the scoreboard. We make a cut. Our guy throws his hands up in the air where he does not hit the guy in the back. The guy falls down. He throws a flag. The clip happened 15 yards ahead of where it was, and that one didn't get called. And as y'all are calling the play, you don't see the flag over here on the sideline, mm-hmm. which you can't because of where you were. And I was like, got a flag down. And I said, this isn't where the clip happened. The clip happened at the 35, and this crackhead throws a flag down here on the 12. And that's what got us. This crackhead right here.
I think it went a little further than that, as I recall. It said this crackhead throws a flag at the 12. He needs to come pick it up. Well, maybe he'll wait till Saturday
when he's
picking up trash in his orange jumpsuit. Well, I was going to leave it at that. That ain't what got me in trouble. The crackhead comment's what got me in trouble. So we all get called individually into the AHSAA office.
You and I went together, didn't we?
I think so.
Yes, we did.
I think so.
Yes.
And I'm told at that point, as the play-by-play voice, like, Will, you are like the quarterback of this team, and you're responsible for what they say. Like, I'm responsible for what Coach Burnett says, and what I'm not going to be responsible for these grown men. No. And then a couple years later, we realized we didn't have to put up with that.
That's right.
Well, if you remember correctly, you got suspended too. You just happened to be going on a trip the next week.
I happened to be on a vision quest the next week. So
going on a trip, so we called it a suspension.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm serving it next week.
Yeah, because we can't have both of us out on the same week because somebody's got to be.
Because then it's back to me and Chip, and I'm not risking the winning streak over a regular.
Can you imagine Chip Powell doing the play-by-play?
Hey, a lot of people want to hear it.
Hey, you joke, but me and Chip did that first year. Chip was doing play-by-play when Doug couldn't do the games, and I was doing color, and I didn't even know the players. Because it was my first year doing anything.
You just had to know, football.
Give me a Chip Powell on a Cam Shanks 35-yard post route that he catches in the back corner of the end zone.
Oh, there we go, Thun. He's open. It got him. Oh, that's it. And Thun, I'm going to tell you something right now. Cam Shanks is the best receiver I've seen in my whole life at Prattville High School, Thun. It ain't even close. I remember 5'4" J.J. Jackson running through here with them big old meaty thighs he had, son. That was great. Chip loved J.J. Jackson.
He did. Everybody. I love J.J.
He's great.
Hey, I got a clip of highlight clips from that season of and the call was on a long. Justin Albert had 2 90-yard touchdown runs against Stanhope, and we all know how much, the relationship Chip and Justin had. I mean, it was practically as one of his kids. So you got a daddy calling the play, essentially. And and it sounds so great as he's Justin turns the corner. Come on, buddy. You can do it. Come on, buddy. Turn it on. Turn it on.
Tell you what, now that
not even telling you where he's at on the field, but he's rooting them on. But
that was talking about undefeated teams. We had them ninth graders. We coached them in ninth grade, and the best football game. Y'all broadcast that thing. If you remember that, the Hoover Prattville game in ninth grade, Chip and Johnny. It was right there at the end when we scored, and we pulled out. We pulled out a play that we had not run since like week 1 because I got in trouble. Coach Clark got on to me. We scored or we scored on like a dump pass with the tight end from like the 6. And I'm thinking my Nextel beeps, and I look down real quick, and it's Bill Clark, and I'm thinking he's fixing to congratulate me on that great call. And I'm, yes, sir. Hey, we don't throw the ball down here. We run the ball. Yes, sir. So I put it up. And so here we are, man. We are lock and loaded, and we are going for 2. We are going for the win. We run the play, and it blows up, and all of a sudden he raises up, and we throw the ball to the fullback, one of them, one of Willie's kids, one of Willie's boys, catches the ball in the end zone, and we get the 2-point play. And I'm like, holy, where did that come from? And they're like, Coach, he was there. We knew it was there. We just called it. And I'm like, y'all ain't called a play I called? Don't matter. Made you look good, though. I was like, hey, I appreciate that. Coach Clark's fixing to rip me a new one. Anyway, he was pretty happy that we had beaten Hoover down there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, we I've been around a bunch of undefeated football teams, and so it's man, undefeated seasons are cool, and state championships are cool, and I've been a part of about 10 of them. So
yeah, well, and
never forget that feeling.
Probably the most championship-ridden coach maybe in Prattville football, maybe in Prattville history.
Well,
nobody's got more titles than
Eddie Brown.
Eddie Brown,
because Eddie Brown got one as a player in '84,
and 5 more or 4 more,
and then as the coach, and then I was along for all the other ones during the coaching run. And but Eddie Brown's got me beat because he got one as a player, and I didn't get one as a player. But I picked up one, and Eddie Brown was with me at the academy.
You set the tone for the one in '84. That's what you did.
Well, yeah, we did. We did do that.
Well, you got all these undefeated seasons and all these things you've beaten in life, and
had a big win a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. I want to talk about that because a lot of people. I mean, you haven't been shy about letting people know that you were recently diagnosed with prostate cancer.
With prostate cancer,
and you did a lot to raise awareness for it during the season, which I really appreciate. And
y'all need to go get checked.
Real men get it checked.
Real men get it checked.
But now you've been undergoing treatment for the last several months, and
28 radiation treatments and 4 hormone treatments.
Have you replaced the curtains in your house yet?
Not yet, but I did stop at Bath and Body. No. The hormone treatments, I got one in August. I got a shot in August, and I get that every 6 months for 2 years. So it'll be a total of 4 shots. I finished my radiation on December the 19th. Got my 28 in, and I go back to the radiation oncologist on the 16th of this month, and we'll do another PSA. And he's like, don't worry about it if it's 15 or if it's higher. We're not worried about that. We worry about it later on because things have got to get back to normal before we really know what's going on. So, but yeah, it's
you look great.
Everything's good, man. That's that's because I've started my new workout routine for the new year, and a lot of changes going on, and picking up things and trying to set new habits and making things become a habit, and making sure that we hold ourselves accountable for it. One thing, the unfolding story that we're doing there at church.
Love it.
Lee and I are trying to make it a point where we listen to the scripture reading in the morning while we're getting ready. We turn it on. We got all these dang speakers around the house, and so we can hear it. And sometimes the podcast, maybe it's not up at 6 o'clock in the morning. So
usually not.
Usually catch it later on, but I got the app on my phone that I can read it, I can hear it, and I can read along with it, because some of those Old Testament words, I have a tough time.
Come on now.
And even with like 27 different translations, I'm still going, okay, is there one that's just called Basic English Translation
they
of
call
the
that
Bible?
The Message translation.
So, yeah, anyway, I need to find that one. But
yeah, I mean, I wanted to tell you this because, I remember when you told us you're initially diagnosed, and a lot of people, when they hear something like that, they fold up, they lay down, they start feeling sorry for themselves. You never missed a beat, man. In fact, you were, from what I saw, more upbeat following that, because you were going to beat this. You weren't going to let it stop you. You weren't going to let it get in your way of what of what your calling is and what you're called to do. So, I mean, I learned a lot from watching you go through that.
Wow. Thank you.
I had never told you that, but I learned a lot watching you go through that. Like
now the estrogen's kicking in. I'm starting to get emotional.
Like we all pray, and nobody. I mean, the C word is the most dreaded word that a person can hear. And you took it like a daggum champ. And if it ever, I mean, you really laid a roadmap out. Like if this were to happen to any of us, God forbid, I want to take it on like Donny did. You know, that was a coachable moment for me through you. So I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you. You know, watching my mom go through the stuff that she went through, and then the thing with my dad, you know, with the dementia and all that, you can it's going to happen, and you can look at it two ways. You can feel sorry for yourself, or hey, this is the hand I got to play it. You know, this is where my golf ball's in this junk right here. I got to play it. Now, ain't no sense in getting upset about it because it ain't going to go away. We just got to do what we got to do. And, you know, the doctor, when he told me, look, most of my patients are 70 and 80 years old, and we're looking at 10-year plans for them. He said, you're 57. He said, I'm looking at a 30-year plan for you. And when he told me prostate cancer is not going to kill you, but you're probably going to die with it, I was like, dude, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to be fine. If I'm not, I'm still going to be fine because, you know, I took care of that. I took care of that a long time ago. And we make sure we're right with the Lord. And, hey, if that's what takes me out of here, if I get killed in a car wreck on the way home tonight, wow.
Yeah.
Your ratings may go up some, but it may come down after this podcast too. But
no, man, people have been wanting you as a guest on the show to hear more about Donny from the start.
All that
I do because I hear it.
So, but yeah, it's. I mean, you like you said, man, you can pout and cry, or you can just keep on rolling and play the best of it. And man, I miss my people at Radiation. You know, and if you don't know how this works, man, you get a time, and like my time was at 10:15. So second period ends at 10:05. I hop in the truck. I fly up here to the Central Alabama Radiation Oncology there on Jasmine Trail. Mm-hmm. They gave me like a little credit card. I would go in. I'd speak to the girl at the desk. Hey, good morning. How you doing? If there's anybody in the office, because, you know, people don't want to be there. They got cancer.
Right.
And so you just try to be happy. Hey, man, how you doing? And that's my personality anyway, so I'm not going to change. Speak to everybody. You go swipe your card. You go straight on to the back. Well, if they're running behind, you know, the 10 o'clock people are there. The 10:30 people are sitting in there. And you become friends with these people because you see them every day. You go 5 days a week. And, you know, they're like, hey, how many treatments you got? I said, well, I got 22. How many have you got? Oh, I'm on 42. I've had to do 40 something. I'm like, oh man, wow. That's terrible.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. I'm almost done. And so, you know, and then like you go and you see somebody and you go, how you doing? Man, I'm doing great because I just had my last treatment. I'm like, dude, high five, give them a hug, and then you don't see them no more. And then you see the next person, and the people, man, the Austin and Kendra that took care of me over there, man, they were awesome. And, you know, if I can't make them laugh every day, I feel like I let them down. And so Kendra's daughter's a cheerleader at Redland, and we had beat them. That was two of the toughest basketball games that we had this year, Redland Middle School. We beat them over there like it was our third game of the year. We beat them 35-30, and it was a dog fight. And then we had them the last game of the year. Man, we were worried that we were not going to, because they had two very good basketball players. They had a point guard we couldn't take the ball away from, and they had a post player that was about 5'11", and she was dominant. And I'm like, we got to get her in foul trouble. We're not going to win. But anyway, we got lucky, and we pulled off that last one. But yeah, they're just, man, they're so nice. And then you just, you know, you see the doctor, and the doctor's upbeat, and I mean, that's what it is. And you know, granted, I mean, now, you know, our good buddy Tom Pinkston with cancer, and man, it's just like, wow, what's up with all these coaches and cancer? And,
Yeah.
you know, so there's some more. I'm calling no names out, but man, it's just, man, it's awful. And like I said, my dang prayer list at night, it's like I do a lot of praying, and you don't realize how much you pray until it happens to you. And man, you talking about feeling prayers and just being able to rock and roll with it. And
Yeah.
so it's tough, but yeah, it's, you know, you can cry about it or you can just keep on moving, and we just gonna keep on moving.
Well, they say the view is great on the mountaintops, but the fruit is grown in the valley.
That's it.
And you've been growing some fruit here lately.
Ooh.
And so you're a testament to all of us on how to handle something like this. You really know what's in a man's character when he gets tested like this, and you've shown everybody what you're
tried,
made of.
man. I tried. I told them, you know, I got these kids are counting on me, and I got my little 5th grade Sunday school class. They're counting on me, and I'm like, look, I'm gonna be here. Mm-hmm. You know, when I told the football boys, I said, guys, look, I said, I've been diagnosed with cancer. I got prostate cancer. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to be here. There are going to be days that I'm going to have to be gone, that I'm going to have a doctor's appointment, or I've got to do this and that. But yeah, we didn't, knock on wood, we didn't miss anything because of it. And so we just kept going.
And that's all we can do. Our promise is right now.
That's it.
And you're making the most of every minute, Coach. We really appreciate you. And
well, thank you.
Appreciate you being part of this broadcast of our Friday night broadcast for more than 10 years now, and what you've been doing. You know, because you don't have to do that on Friday night. You don't have to, because you work with these kids Monday to Thursday after hours, and then you give up your time on Friday nights too. So it's awesome.
I don't have to do that.
No, you don't have to.
Millzer, I don't have to do that.
No, you don't have to.
Really?
No, you don't have to.
Oh,
None of us have to, but
well, I do it because I want to.
exactly.
Because I love it.
You do it for the steaks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, we did have ours. We ate 2 of them the other night, and they were
They were
outstanding.
good. They're really good. Really good. Well, Coach, we're gonna close this thing up with the old motivational minute.
No, well, we got one. You know,
But before we get into that, I want everybody to know how you got to become the Motivational Minute Man. You have a book of this stuff, a book of quotes that you've stored up over the years, a connoisseur.
Now, before we get into his motivational minute, we've always got that one segment before the moment.
Well, we got Poetic Justice, and we're going to go back to back Poetic Justice Motivational Minute. But I want people to know, like,
How did this start?
You don't just make these up. You're a collector.
I guess I was 14, 15 years old, somewhere. I can't remember exactly how old it was. I got Stedman Shealy's book, Never Say Quit. Mm-hmm. And then there's a little poem on the back. You know, when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're traveling seems all uphill, rest if you must, but never say quit. And that's kind of been my thing. Never say quit. We just got to keep going. And so I started collecting, like I would see a quote and I would like it, and I would write it down on a piece of paper. Mm-hmm. I'd stick it in my pocket. Well, I would get home, had a composition, a spiral notebook, and I would write the quote in there. And then it got to going, and so I had several pages, like 25, 30 pages of just quotes that I would write down. And because if you're going to speak to people, you got to tell people you got to make it entertaining. You got to have something that's going to do it. And so anyway, I had this quote, a hook. Thank you. And so I like remembered all these quotes, and so I would try to do this and that. And then when computers came along and you could copy and paste, I thought, this is awesome. So I copy and pasted. And when they started the freshman academy up there at the Prattville High School, and Janice Stockman said, she was the principal up there, and she said, hey, I need some quotes, some motivational quotes that we can put on these walls up here. And I was like, let me just forward you my notebook. And so I click, and sent her 15 pages of quotes. And so she picked them out. And it's just something I don't read a lot, but I do.
Yeah.
And, when I find a quote, like I was sitting there last night, like I changed my quote for getting ready to play golf. I was like, golf is easy. Playing it is hard.
So that's a good
so
one.
Boom. So there
Really
was my quote for today. But yeah, I mean, if you want a quote, just go scan my Facebook page. You'll find one on there
all the time.
So, but yeah, it's just been something that's interested me, and I've liked doing it. So,
Well, we're going to have you do the Motivational Minute live in the podcast today, right? I mean, like we're going to record it. We're going to record it right here in person. I've never seen you do this in person.
You've never been here for one of those, have you?
No,
never have.
No, we won't have the majestic music behind it, but he will still deliver us the quote.
Yes. But we do have the majestic music for our Poetic Justice moment. And now we're going to go ahead and throw it to our Poetic Justice segment of the podcast that we've been waiting for quite a while.
I've got to give a little shout out to Chip, because I don't think I've heard the rumors about how much people think, how much effort that Chip puts into this. Chip puts hours and hours of research into these, and the rumors that he comes in here an hour before the show and pulls out his phone, jots down some notes, and then just does it. No, that doesn't happen. That's not the way it happens.
No.
Hours and hours of preparation for this.
Well,
and
I heard it's because he has to find one that he can remember, because he has so many, he gets them confused.
Yep. So if you've heard the story that he just comes in here an hour before we get started today and spends 5 minutes and looking at his phone and then spits one out, that don't happen. That ain't the way it happens.
And that's pure poppycock.
That's pure poppycock. He practically spent his whole Christmas vacation, working on this. So
I could imagine.
So anyway,
true, all true.
So that'll throw us to our latest episode of Poetic Justice.
Welcome to the Poetic Justice 2023 edition. Man, it's hard to believe it's been a year almost of doing this, and I couldn't be more excited. And that's what today's poem is about. It's about new beginnings, new starts, new year, never a better time than to start now. And, poets down the ages, they've written wisely and movingly about the need to make a fresh start. Taking in the very beginnings of the universe, the beginning of a new chapter in life, possibly even a new life itself. And, when I thought about that, I said, no one represents this better than my most favorite female poet. And I know that y'all already probably know, but yes, it is Helen Steiner Rice. She was a 20th century poet from Ohio. I mean, I know y'all know this, but I'll never forget the day she died. I was a junior in high school. We had spring training that day. I told Coach Glasscock, hey, I can't do it. I can't make the practice. And he said, why, Chip? Is there somebody? I said, yeah, very close. Helen Steiner Rice died. He said, Chip, I fully understand. And so I took that day off. And with that being said, I want to quote the poem. It means so much to me about new beginnings, and actually it's called New Beginnings. But here it is, Helen Steiner Rice. And I hope I don't stumble on this, because it's been a while since I've remembered this, but here we go. How often do we wish for another chance to have a fresh beginning, a chance to blot out our mistakes and change failure into winning? It does not take a new year. It makes a brand new start. It only takes the deep desire to try with all your heart, to live a little better and to always be forgiving, to add a little sunshine to the world in which we are living. So never give up in despair and think that you are through, for there's always a tomorrow and a chance to start anew. Man, that's just beautiful, man. I mean, if you can't appreciate Helen Steiner Rice, you don't need to be a part of this program. And with that, I'm going to leave it with you. Thank you for joining us.
I love Helen Steiner Rice. I think she's wonderful. I'm glad Chip highlighted her today, because I know he talks about her all the time.
Well, like I said, hours of research put into this.
I mean, and notice how it just went right along with the new beginning in 2023. And look, I was in school with Chip during that time.
You remember?
I remember Chip. He was forevermore quoting poetry.
And destroyed the day Helen Steiner Rice died.
He did. I mean, if I think back about it, I would probably have remembering that day. Man, It's tough.
Well, hours of research go into his poetic justice moments, but years of research and collection have gone into these motivational minutes.
Yeah.
And so, without further ado, Donnie, take us home with the motivational minute.
And today's has kind of been my thing, which is kind of what, if I'm coaching, if I'm playing golf, if I'm teaching my 5th grade Sunday school class, if whatever it is, this is a Donny Burnett from the heart right here. So let's get ready. This is Coach Donny Burnett, and this is today's motivational minute. This one's very personal to me, and I've kind of tried to live my life this way. In the end, you can either walk away knowing you gave it your all or stand there wondering why you didn't. This is Coach Donny Burnett, and that's today's motivational minute.
Strike hard, Donnie. Strike true, as always.
That's it. That's it. So if you're going to do it, man, give it 100%. If you ain't going to give it 100%, let somebody else do it.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of giving 100%, this might be the longest running podcast we've had.
Yeah, one of the cameras died, so,
Yeah,
I had to go to the wide shot.
So thank you for spending time with us today.
How's Millzer going to cut that thing down to 45 minutes or whatever?
Oh, it's not going to.
It's not going to be cut down.
It's long play.
Ain't nobody going to listen to this thing from start to
JRE.
finish.
I promise you they will. Well, we love you, man. Appreciate your time today.
I love y'all. Thank you for your friendship. I appreciate it.
It means a lot. We love you. Wouldn't have it any other way. Millzer, any last words?
Bye.
Nah.
I'm hungry.
There you go. Millzer. And for Will Barrett and for our guest, Coach Donny Burnett, we will see you next time on The Preferred Experience.